Did we make it in time? Time for what? In time for Hina-chan break or second break? Whoa, whoa, Mistia, that's loud. Bye-bye, chicken heart. Here she is. It's Hina. Whoa. That's right. That's her. Alrighty, boys. Alrighty. So, we didn't make the character. Character's not here, I'm sorry to say. There's no new character, just the same old Hina, but that's alright. I'm level 69 Jumb. Not bad at all. What's your highest level character? Level 0. Wow. Level 69. I'm so powerful. With my propeller blade, I can do anything. So let's all go to the lobby and find ourselves a game. No restrictions here. We're just shooting a couple hours chat. Because normally I do this on the new year itself. But we had a bit of a collection going on there. Where we watched... Well, actually, I was going to say we watched a different Hina go. But there was no Hina in that collection. Hina-less collection. This is how we start the new year. This is how we start it. Watch this. Hit him with a crazy shot. Whoa. So, I don't even know who my opponent is. It occurred to me right there in that moment. I was like, who the fuck am I even playing against? And why are we both incapable of playing this game right now? The answer made enough sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Hamburger. Yes. Paper ball. Wait, what? Nandemo nai. Well, let's not worry about anything like that, alright? Don't worry about the specifics. Watch this. Yep. Okay, that's fine. That's alright. Now that the new year has begun, Chot, is anything going to change? For you? For me? For us? No. No. I think everything that I was doing the last couple weeks is what I'm going to be doing for the next couple weeks. Who knows? But the question is not so much. The question is not so much if it's all gonna be the same. It's more so, do you want it to be the same? Do you strive? Do you strive to improve your situation? Or do you settle within it? What is your decision? Are you satisfied? Do you want more? Do you need more? Of course that wasn't the real Hina. I don't need anything because wanting is too difficult. It's too tough, I'd rather not. Well, it appears we're all involved in a very unfortunate position here. Perhaps it'll get better once... Alright, now it'll get better. You. Wow. Wow. I really hope it doesn't get claimed. It probably will, though. Diddle-oo, diddle-oo. Diddle-oo, diddle-oo. Diddle-oo. It's not converted enough, damn it. Let's see. Like I said, I don't really have any What I will be doing for the foreseeable future is not that different than what I have been doing the last couple months anyway. There's no reason for me there's no reason for me to try and reinvent myself, I guess. But we are currently in the week of New Year's resolutions, so, you know, for the next 3 days, you get to really lock in and make some real change. And then you can quit after 3 days, because that'll be all the hard work you need to put in. That's all the hard work you need to put in, alright? That's your government-mandated New Year's resolution. 3 days, 72 hours. It's like community service. I put in my community service. Now I can go back to doing literally anything else. Well, that's a lot of points. Wow. Ha ha. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Crushma. No, Hina! Chat, do you think the people who have New Year's resolutions are, like, aware? Or do you think there's, like, a level of blissful ignorance that goes on when they fail to meet a resolution within days? What do you think goes through the mind, right? What do you think goes through the mind of those? And it's like, you can do it once, but what about the people who do it every year and the same result happens? What do you call that exactly? You playing psychoanalyst streamer? Well, not necessarily, but I do wonder sometimes. Holy shit. I do wonder sometimes what goes through the minds of others. Only to a certain extent. Whee! I heard a coin sound. Oh. Wait, that was a gold Hina? Was I not paying attention? I just got 2 keys for it. I can't think of any, like, times I've had a real New Year's resolution myself. Honestly. I've never really sat down and had one. I don't really think much about it. But I think that's because I was just so doomer-pilled about resolutions in general that I never really bothered to think about actually having one. So that's why I wonder about the people who do really take such a thing seriously to the point where they would talk about it, right? And what goes through their mind for it, and whether or not they stick with it. How does it work? How does it work in their interior? If I'm gonna give up, well, I mean, I don't need a New Year's. Damn. I don't need New Year's to convince me to give up, you know? We as a species love our instant gratification. We do. We love it. And here's something that I've noticed. This happens. This is something that happens, and, you know, I'm no psych major, but this is something that feels like this is how this goes down. But when you talk about doing something, oh, see ya. It, like, tricks your brain into, like, giving you the same reaction as if you had actually done it. That's how that feels. Like when you tell somebody you're gonna go do something, and they're like, man, that's great, good luck with that. And then it's like, instead of doing it, you're like, well, I mean, I got my reaction for it, right? I got my social validation for it. That's basically the same thing. And then they don't actually do it. The more you talk about something, the less likely you become to do it, which is a really weird thing to say, but I think it's like really true. But it's pretty normal behavior to want to talk about something that you're doing or you want to do, but then you sabotage yourself. You sabotage yourself. You see how many fucking fan games release like trailers? They're like, look at this thing we've been making in secret that's not ready yet, but it's coming. Check it out, it's gonna be awesome. And then the company, you know what the company I'm talking about is. The company shows up and they're like, hey, that's a pretty cool game. Stop working on it right now. And they're like, well, guys, you know, this thing we poured years of our lives into? Well, that's it. Just goodbye. We're pulling it. I mean, it was almost ready. It was almost ready. It was gonna be out in like 2 days, but nope, done now. You should have waited. Lethal Company? What about Lethal Company? I'm talking about fan games that get C and D'd. Because the people who are making them, they show it off too early, and then they get told to stop. And then they comply, and then the game doesn't go. What? She didn't tippy. She didn't tippy. Whee! Wow. Okay. It's really different. You talk with someone who can hold you to it. Yeah, but we live on the we live in an internet age. We live on an internet age where the only thing people care about hearing from other people on the internet is immediate validation for their actions or inaction. So they're only going to talk to people who are just going to tell them what they want to hear. Because if they talk to people who don't tell them what they want to hear, they're just not going to listen to it. They're going to go away. Wow. Internet has a lot of people like that where, you know, they don't care. It's kind of weird to say it like that, but ultimately, what you do doesn't really affect them, and they love positivity. So they're just, you know, you go, yes, Queen Slay and all that, but like you can pretty much say anything, and they'll be like, yes, yes, you do, you girl, you go, girl, you are so valid. It's like, but like it doesn't matter to them really at all, because like what you do doesn't affect them directly in any real way. But you know, you got to be heckin' wholesome on the internet, right? So if you're not heckin' wholesome on the internet, then what are you doing? What are you doing, you dumbass? I mean, I could tell this guy it's a bad idea, but then I won't get upvoted on Reddit. But if I tell them that what they're doing is so awesome and they should be so proud, I will get Reddit Gold. And if I get Reddit Gold, then, like, isn't that really the only reason we exist? Isn't that the only reason we're here? Is for our Reddit Gold? A fun experiment I like to tell people is to go to any fucking random white noise video and go to the comment section, and they are absolutely filled to the brim with this stuff. They are filled to the fucking brim with just this extremely like vague and open positivity, and it's just like, shut up. Shut up. There's no more Reddit Gold. Only a Redditor would know that. Nice job exposing yourself. This guy just fucking admitted that he goes on Reddit. That's embarrassing. That's so embarrassing. First day of the year, and that's what you're gonna open up with? Holy shit. Wow. You still got 365 days. And you've already pulled that one off. Bark! Mom always used to say, if you don't got anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Right? But like, I wonder if that would hurt more. Because at that point, it's like, if somebody doesn't respond, then you know why, right? You know why. Well, I guess it's a matter of how much you want to take it, right? Like when you're looking for like feedback on something, there's a degree of criticism that people want. Some people want harsh criticism. Some people don't want any criticism. Now, unfortunately, when you're on the internet, you are not immune to criticism unless you post it somewhere where you are. Of course. And therein lies the problem, right? Let's say you want to improve, right? Let's say you want to improve, but you're afraid of criticism. So you only post in places where the people who can criticize are never going to actually give you any real advice. So you never really make improvements because you never really know what to improve on directly. But again, not everybody wants that kind of criticism. It's up to you to decide what you want. Me, Gongaga. That's right, Gongaga. Why is there only one fucking player online and it's a damn Jun player? Blue sky. Bye-bye, blue sky. Bye-bye. Wow. The goal is improvement. I want to improve. On, call him a slur. Thanks, On. But it depends. It depends on anything, really. Art is just the easiest example for me to make because it's something that I do myself. But I think it can kind of go with anything. Have you ever watched American Idol, chat? Have you ever seen American Idol? I have seen when I was younger some stories and like the auditions about basically people who get gassed up about their ability by friends and family, and then they go and they embarrass themselves on national TV because they're actually not very good at all, but everybody around them is basically a yes man about it. And, you know, they get a bit of an ego, and then they get hit by a reality check. That sounds painful. Legitimately. That sounds painful to me. Having something like that, so, like, something like that you feel confident in being, like, blowing up in your face. That seems really bad. But, like, there are harsh truths to this kind of thing, right? There are harsh truths. Have you seen... Chat, have you ever seen an art style on the internet? The longer you looked at it, the more you wished that you could, like, scrub your brain from the last 5 minutes of your life. And I'm not even talking about, like, art that is designed to be, like, gross and uncomfortable. I'm talking about art that has genuine, like... attempt behind it, but it's just like every creative decision made was one that was just, it makes you want to gaggle. It just makes you want to throw up. Now, back in the day, we called that Tumblr nose, you know? We had a term. It was called Tumblr nose. And it was when artists would always draw an insane amount of fucking red blush, Rudolph style, on art. and it would just like completely and utterly ruin the complexion of the face. Well, let's not even talk about the face itself in this example, but specifically this bright red fucking nose that some artists just were absolutely in love with. But like, the art was not good. It was pretty horrendous even. But like, is that the art they like? I guess they has to be. Or they just assumed it was good because everybody around them told them it was good, so they kept going with it. I don't know what leads to certain art styles. I don't know. I don't know. I'd assume the reason it's a Tumblr art style is because it's an art style that is born on Tumblr, that is fueled and validated by other people on Tumblr. As the result is that art style grows, and then when it breaches containment, it gets this unflattering term, right? It gets a rather unflattering term associated with it, like, wow, you definitely put time into this, but it looks like shit. And that sucks. Stinky boy. What are we doing here right now, huh? What are we doing? I don't want to give examples. I don't want to name names because, well, for one, that is like, why would I want to spark issue with people? That's a pain in the ass more than anything. But there are plenty of art styles that I have come across throughout my time on the internet that when I look at them, I think I like, yeah, all I can really think is like, this is what you want. This is what you want your art to be. Really? This? And that's phrasing it kind of nicely, I think. There's obviously people who are new and are striving to improve, but there's definitely art styles you see that are quote-unquote finished, finalized. Like, this is their style they're known for, and you just look at it and you're like, this is what you want to be known for? Really? This? It's like, get Gordon Ramsay on this. But hey, I mean, if it pays the bills. There are some artists who actually, sometimes their art is actually so, like, detailed that it actually loops back around to being boring. Now that's a weird one. That's a really fucking weird one to me, because like, there is a level of quality you can reach that becomes so like what's even the word? There's a level of quality you can reach where it really does look, there's a lot of polish in it, but then you kind of look at it and you're like, this is like kind of boring. Oh, that sucks. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like there's a level you reach where there's just too much. There's too much quality. What the fuck are we doing here, buddy? Okay. Too much quality and it kind of loses it. Now, okay, I actually watched a tutorial once. I found this to be a very interesting example. I watched a tutorial once about eyes, and the video, they drew a couple pairs of eyes, and I was like, wow, those look really good. And then they colored them. And when they were done coloring them, I was like, wow, those just look awful. It's really weird. They're too perfect. I don't know if it's really that, right? It's just, I just don't know how to explain it. Like, it's not necessarily realism, but it's just, there's a level of quality you can reach where the, whoa, bye-bye. That's crazy. Where it's like, I don't know, I guess it loses a little bit of something. Like, there's cartoony stuff, and cartoony stuff lacks in realism. But the further, there's like a sweet spot you have to get with realism to cartoony. Because cartoony allows distinctions that stand out. But the more realistic you get, the less individuality, I guess, your piece can really have. Because I guess when something is perfect, it is inherently lacking flaw. And what is an artistic signature if not just an inherent flaw? It's most art styles and whatnot seem to me to be based off like flaws of an artist in many different ways. Maybe in actual ability or in their brain, the way their brain works. Look at this guy. This guy draws all of his arms about twice the length that they should be. So this guy basically draws anything, but anytime he draws people, they have orangutan arms. And it's just like, why? Because he doesn't know how to draw arms? No, because he wants everybody to have orangutan arms. He loves Lanky Kong, I guess. I don't know what you just did, but it didn't work. Okay. That's not good. He has no style. He has no grace. Bro, why is there an anchor on her? What do we do here? Bye, Hina. Art is weird. Art is weird. It's weird. It's a weird thing. It is. It is. Think of the people who can draw a picture of like an apple, right? Like, think of somebody who can draw an apple and then render it, and it looks like so realistic. It's like, wow, that's incredible talent, right? It's a really cool thing, but it's a fucking apple, right? Like, where do you go from there? Does that elicit emotion? Does it? Maybe. I guess it does in normal people, but like a well-rendered apple, I look at that and I'm like, that's pretty neat. But like the amount of time and practice that went in to make that like good, is astounding. Sure, but I just see it and I'm like, okay, it's an apple. Whatever. But also people too. Like people, pictures of people. That shit takes a lot of time too. Most of the time I look at that and I'm like, whatever. But that's because I am that's my own problem. That's a me issue. Don't get me wrong. But that's a lot of time, effort, and energy into drawing things that I would consider a waste of time. Because I am a weeb. That's right, baby. But for like normal normal human beings, that kind of pursuit is ideal, right? That kind of realism is ideal. Not for me. Not for me. Bye, everybody. Hina. The more realistic you want to portray something, the more you have to learn. I wonder. Sometimes I wonder, chat, what causes people to like reach their art style, if that makes sense. Do you ever wonder about that? Do you think it's just like some people kind of, they know what they want, or they reach a certain point and they don't, like, they kind of leave it at that? What do you think? When do you think people kind of reach what it is they want to do? Do you think some people just kind of get to where is profitable for them and they never really advance past that? How do you think it works? I wonder about it sometimes. What is the final stop for an artist? Does it happen naturally? Do they just kind of exhaust their desire to learn more? Have they learned enough to do what they want? Have they settled in their position because it's a comfortable position? What causes people to get to where they are and stay to where they are? Because there's a lot of artists that you probably see that you look at their art and you can see progress and fine-tuning, but there's not really a massive style change, I guess. And there does eventually reach a point where a lot of the art you see is very similar in style because they've kind of, I wouldn't say they peaked, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but they've kind of hit a point where they're really comfortable with what they're capable of, and they kind of just leave it at that. Doink. But I don't know, because it's not something I think about right now anyway. I just kind of do. But there's different motivations for people, right? There's different motivations. Some people have goals that they know they want to reach. Some of them, maybe some of them just kind of give up at some point and stay in their lane, so to speak. Like they reach what they consider the pinnacle of what they're capable of doing, and they just kind of stop there. I can't speak for anybody, obviously, but I do wonder sometimes. Like if you asked artists what got them to the style they're at, like what would they say? Would they tell you they're still continuing to improve? Would they answer the question like, would they really have thought about the answer themselves? I don't know. Aw, Hina. I can't give you an answer myself because what I'm doing right now is just, I'm doing redraws. I don't have anything like that right now. It's not a concern of mine. I've learned that thinking too much about things that don't matter or you're not really going to have an answer to doesn't really help. So just think about the things that you need to do in the moment. In other words, turn your brain off. That's all. Turn your brain off. Head empty. Activate brain goo mode. Thinking too much doesn't do anything. There's a little like diagram I saw before. That was basically like it's basically like, do you have a problem? Yes. Yes. No. No. Alright, no problem. Yes. Can you do anything about it? Yes, no. Yes. Great, problem solved. No. Don't worry about it. Like, stop worrying about it. Like, if you have a problem and you can't do anything about it, then there's really no use worrying about it. You can't do anything anyway, right? But if you can do something about it, there you go. So, basically, all roads lead to don't worry about it. Because either you have a problem you can solve, you don't have a problem, or you have a problem you can't solve. Don't worry about it. Seems easy enough to me, right? Well, streamer, that's great advice, but like, that doesn't work. No, obviously that doesn't work quite like that. But sometimes I find that the way you look at things can have a pretty big impact on just your overall mental state regarding certain situations you may find yourself in. You could say it's a little bit of a doomer mindset to just be like, well, I mean, I can't do anything about it anyway, so who fucking cares? Whoa! Hina, flip! But spending all day just worrying about something doesn't really help anything, right? Based and hippie pilled. Don't call me a hippie. Hippies don't do anything. Hippies are stinky and they smoke weed. I don't smoke weed and I'm not stinky currently. I showered. call me a fucking hippie. Wow. Okay. Hey man, love and peace, man. Get a job, you fucking hippie. Fuck you. Bang boom. You think that'll work? Well, that didn't work either, did it? He's got no goo. Okay. Alright. Ah, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, that was terrible. Oh, well. Do what you must. You know, chat, some days I wake up and I think to myself, wow, I wish I was not doing anything today. And my brain's like, so true, bestie, we should just do nothing at all day. And then immediately after that happens, my brain's like, wow, man, you surely didn't fucking do anything today, did you, you piece of shit? Fuck you. It's like, but you told me. You told me to not do anything today. I was listening to you, brain. I was following your orders. I can't believe I did that again. Why does my brain sabotage me? Why does my brain say, don't do anything today because you earned it, and then you don't do anything and your brain's like, wow, nice job, piece of shit. Didn't do anything today, huh? Great, well done. Fuck you. Like, bro, you told me to do this. You're the one in charge. I'm the goddamn meat puppet, alright? You're the boss, not me. The brain says, the body obeys. You ever find it weird, chat, how sometimes you have to argue with yourself? Doesn't that seem really strange? Have you ever really thought about that? It's like, there's a guy in my head, that is my head, telling me what to do. And sometimes he tells me something, and then the guy in my head, who is also still the same guy, is like, maybe not. Why am I fucking having a schizo moment? Like, why am I fighting myself? How many different people are in my head making these decisions, huh? Because clearly if it was just one guy, he'd always get his way. But there's got to be at least one other guy in there, because sometimes the other guy is like, hey, what the fuck do you think you're doing, dumbass? And it's like, oh, you're right, shit. Alright, ignore that previous thought and go do something. I don't get it. I don't get it. How does it work? How does my brain work? I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I can sit there and have a fucking dialogue with myself. It's like, you know, I'm tired. I'm tired today. I don't want to do anything. And then immediately after, I'll be like, no, actually, asshole, get up. I'm gonna do something right now. Don't be a fucking useless sausage of a man today. And it's like, well, shit, both very compelling arguments. One guy is calling me a sausage, and the other one's telling me I can do nothing for 12 hours and then go to bed and then do it again. And it's like, okay. But, like, why are there two different thought trains going on in my... Isn't my brain one guy? How many guys are in my brain? How many guys are in my brain? How many people run the show? You ever see that episode of SpongeBob when he has to learn about fine dining and breathing, right? And he like, it's like The Office. Yeah, initial D is definitely gonna get mega claimed. Alrighty. Where'd my Hina go? Yum, 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 yum. What's his name? What's his name? Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of little SpongeBobs in the office. But like they're all running the brain. But they're not all individual thoughts of the brain, right? They're working with the big brain. But then how many offices in the big brain are there? How many consciousness do I have? Huh? What goes on in my mind that allows me to both, like contest myself and, like, allow myself, right? I don't understand it. I don't get it. The human brain doesn't make any sense to me. Human brain's stupid. I'm aware of the guy who had his left and right brain be separated. I am aware of that. So there is a basis in theory for an idea that your left brain and your right brain are two individual, like, consciousness. Which is fascinating for sure. I forget exactly what it was, but it's like because they weren't connected, they weren't aware of what the other one was doing. So when one brain did one thing, the other one would, like, the other would basically try to come up with, like, reasons why something would happen without really knowing exactly why it happened, for it to make sense to it. Something like that. But wouldn't that just mean that one part of, like, if one half of my brain is, like, trying to, like, help me and the other is trying to tell me to fucking eat chip for 12 hours and then go to bed, like, what, like, are they both doing that? Is there one brain who's clearly more like, I want to live more than the other one? I want to do something? Like, how do I talk to my brain? How do I talk to my own brain and figure out which one of them is trying to fucking sabotage me? How do I solve it? It's like, you know, the angel and devil on your shoulder? That's my left brain and my right brain. Hold on. Which one does what? I don't remember. I think the right brain is the creative one, right? The right brain is the one for, like, creative processes, and then the left one is more for, like, boring. Yeah, boring. Let's go with that. So when people say they're right brain, it means they're really annoying. And when people say they're left brain, it means they're no fun. So, yeah. Anybody who would refer to themselves as one brain-sided is just probably not gonna be a great time. A little bit of a mess. Maybe a little bit of a mess. How come sometimes my left brain hurts, huh? Sometimes the left side of my head hurts, sometimes the right side of my head hurts. Do my brains gain individual headaches based on different things? What's going on? Why do I only have headache in one part of my head sometimes? Why is it, like, hyper focused in one spot? When my head hurts, shouldn't my whole head hurt? Why does only a specific part of my head hurt? That doesn't make any sense. Explain the brain. Well, there's no real good studies on the brain. Because the brain kind of... functionality of the brain kind of just seems to not really work when you take it out of the person. You know? It serves its function, but, like... But then what about dreams, chat? What about dreams? Can dreams be explained? Can dreams be, like, properly explained? Can dreams be properly researched? What even are dreams? Do dreams even make any sense? Dreams confuse me because we're supposed to be in a state of unconsciousness, right? We're in a state of unconsciousness where we're not aware of anything. But then our dreams happen in this state and we're, like, aware of it vaguely. So it's happening. So it's like something's happening in a state where our body isn't, like conscious? I don't know. Because sometimes you can tap into your dream and you can take control of it. And they call that lucid dreaming. Oh, well, that was almost a win. But for the most part, dreams are something that happen. You barely remember them. and then they're put into the recycle bin in your brain. And it's always trash day at like 5 minutes after you wake up. But like dreams always immediately go in the get rid of this information part of the brain. That's why you don't remember your dreams like at all, unless you like really think about it and create a memory out of the dream right when you wake up. Or you write it down. But usually dreams, like, you know you have a dream, but then you don't remember any detail about it at all, because that shit is forwarded straight to the junk folder and then cleaned out. Theories about dreams that are your brain compartmentalizing, making sense, and processing your day. It's processing it by putting it in the junk drawer. Tell me, what is my brain trying to do by giving me like a bunch of different dreams about Pokemon Snap content? What's that about? Why does my brain keep telling me about new levels in Pokemon Snap 64? That's happened 3 different times now. And like at least 2 of those were within the span of the same like 10 days. What the fuck is going on with my brain for that one, huh? Brain rot. My brain isn't rotted. There's a gemstone up there now. Not quite what I had in mind. What the fuck was that? What the hell is going on here? What times a 10-second sequence of a dream happens to you in real life? You mean when I fall? When I fall in a dream and I wake up in a panic because I'm like, holy shit, I fell, and then I didn't fall because obviously I didn't fall. Great dream. Sometimes I like fall asleep and I have a dream for about 3 seconds and then I wake up and hours have passed. Have you ever had one of those before? Where you're present in a dream for about 5 seconds and then you wake up and hours have passed. Man. The darkness. Sometimes when you start kind of falling asleep into a dream, the passage of time stops making sense, I find. Like, you'll set your alarm, and then you kind of set your alarm, but then your brain's kind of starting to conceptualize a dream somehow, and then immediately your alarm goes off, and it's like, but what? What do you mean? But like, you set your alarm for like 20 minutes. So it's like, why is this happening? I didn't see Hina there. I've had nightmares where I just kind of wake up and I'm like... But the last nightmare I had wasn't even a nightmare. The last nightmare I had was some guy banging on a window. Like, really aggressively. Like, really aggressively. And it wasn't really, like, scary. But then I still woke up with a start. I still woke up with a start. And I was like, wow. That was certainly something. And then I went back to bed. It really wasn't scary. But, like, I guess... part of me became conscious in the dream, and it became scary as it started to feel more real. I mean, I told you about the dream where I had the Freddy Fazbear animatronic, the OC. I don't remember his name. I think his name was like Nick or something. I forgot what I was saying. Right. My dream, there was a FNAF OC. I think his name was Nick, and his entire purpose was to beat up the bad animatronics who wanted to, like, kill me. So he was protecting me. So that was cool. Oh. Hold on, I popped up on my phone because I wanted to see. I have a dream in here. Oh. Oh. Oh, send her flying. Donkey. Did I read these dreams? I probably did. I have 2 dreams written in here. Because my old phone broke down and I lost all my dream folder in that one. Alright. Here, I'll read you the 2 dreams I have recorded in here. Because I don't remember them at all. Go to America in a morning for some reason. Out looking for a place to eat. End up in a movie theater arcade. See a ticket prize machine with a bunch of Tinkatons themed after different Pokemon and characters. Want one but can't figure out how to get tickets. End up breaking in later and to steal something different. Don't remember what, and after finishing the job, I find some tickets. However, I got a dip or I'm busted for sure. End up leaving the building and struggle on going back. As I'm walking away, an old lady on a motorcycle pulls up next to me and says I don't want to go that way. So I have no fucking recollection of this dream whatsoever. But it's all written here. Then I see the building I just left go into full lockdown mode. For some reason, everything up to me leaving the store was actually an episode of SpongeBob. At the end of the dream, I am seeing things from the perspective of Parsi with a new piano I stole, but the guilt of stealing it is overwhelming. She freaks out and plays and is very good at it. Her final line before I woke up was, "Now that I've been cursed with the power of foresight, life just got a bit more interesting." I don't know what the fuck that dream was. But I wrote it down. I wrote that down. So that, at least some of that happened in my mind. And I know that sounds like bullshit. You made that up. But like, if you actually think I made that up, then you're giving my creative abilities a lot more like credit than they deserve. That's not the only one I have in here, Chad. I have another one. Alright. I have another one. Don't you worry. Tippy! Alright. Playing a game and Germa walks up to me dressed as a caveman with a plastic wooden club and starts beating me with it. While being I'm called from the top of a mountain regarding tasks I'm supposed to do. My only response is, "What Grug want?" And they all laugh at me. Wrestle the club from Germa and comically bonk his leg until he's a hit from death while giggling. Then I make towards the mountain but turn around and finish Germa off and he dies comically like you'd expect Germa to. What does that even mean? Immediately I bump into Andrew and hit him once and he also dies like a drama queen. Great. A voice then calls out and about how the spirits will be good for someone's plan. The world then goes black and white retro like an Undertale fight, and camera becomes top down right. MH characters, moths into Germa. At least that is what I said I was in the dream, but I was a guy with the words lax next to him. What the fuck does that mean though? Then the sound of Germa saying relax, but heavily emphasizing until only saying the end bit with an echo. I actually vaguely remember that. My character started accelerating up the mountain until I bumped into something that looked like Momo. I think Momo here is like that weird creepypasta Momo thing. It got way too hard to focus with the view shifted back to first person, then the Momo thing was still there in my face. I grabbed it by the neck, I think, and we started falling backwards down the hill, and it caused me to have a panic wake up. Okay. Alright. I don't remember when I wrote these down. I have one more in here. Birthday dream. Visited by family and e-celebs. Joel, Mock D, I don't know who that is, and Kryken. Cousin comes and gifts Mr. Hell Kitty Island Adventure and Classic Bomba. He also gives me a glass car filled with puckle juice and Graggle Simpson in the seat. I had 3 other jars of pickled Graggle, one of which I was drinking. Before Cricket left, he took a picture of my pickled Graggle in the glass car. Okay, so when I write these down, I'm like, I'm not really awake, but there's so many fucking errors in the typing there that I'm surprised that like I didn't catch them when I was writing it. But okay, those are the only dreams I have, unfortunately. I had plenty more before, scattered throughout the world, but I lost them because my old phone didn't transfer the data, because it died due to a battery issue, and I didn't really know how to transfer files from a dead phone, so they all just died. So my dreams are very confusing, and they don't make a lot of sense, and like there's a lot going on in them. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer, but at the very least, they're entertaining. Sometimes they're entertaining. Sometimes I have dreams that I don't want to have, and then when you work towards remembering more dreams, you start to remember the dreams that you'd rather forget. That's for sure. Yay. The first dream I ever wrote down, I think, was the one where I became lucid that it was a dream. And the first thing I did was spawn in IKEA. And then once I spawned in IKEA, I woke up. That was a dream that I had. It was 2 sentences long. I knew it was a dream, spawned in IKEA, and then woke up. Great. Open up your mind. You may find a light that will inspire from another place. Not from outer space, but from somewhere even higher. A babagoo. Yo, we're just like flicking Hina. Well, now she's like... Now she's not moving at all. She's like Omega stuck now. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Down you go, right into the shitter. Dreams are funny. Kind of. They're kind of funny. Oh, wow, she almost cleared that gap. You almost lost that due to, like, Hina being a fucking Olympic level pole vaulter. I don't know what that kanji is, but I know what chan is. Jupe. Jupe. Dum dum dum. It seemed like a pretty cool guitar, I gotta say. Yes, yes. Alright. I don't think I've ever had a dream where I was actively working on something. Because I feel like if I did, I would wake up and I would be really pissed off. Because it's like, great, none of my work is actually real. Like, I don't really get angry in dreams about dreams, per se. But, like, if it was one where I was actively engaging in labor, and then I wake up and it's like all that labor was fake, I'd be like, why the fuck am I dreaming about labor? If I'm gonna dream, let me dream about, like, fucking, I don't know, flying or some shit. I can fly. Let me fly. Flip the bottle, streamer. Flip the bottle. This guy hates Shizuha. Okay. I can throw things too, you know. Cha-ching. And now we fly. There we go. There we go. Cha-ching! Why is there a new Jun player? That's unreasonable. Actually, now that I think about it, this is the guy with 117,000 wins on Jupe as well. This is more Jupe than I've ever seen. The only time people play Jupe in this game is when they're picking him because I'm here. But otherwise, nobody's playing Jupe. She's not even a bottom tier character. She's not a particularly good character, but she's not bad enough that it's funny to use her. She's just a nothing character. Ooh. 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 Oh. Pointo in my pocket. Hmm. Can you cause, like, physical harm in a dream? I feel like anytime I've tried to, like, throw a punch in a dream, it doesn't work. Why is that? This ain't gonna work, Minorico. Gak. I see it. Oh. I knew your game. I knew your game. I knew exactly where that barrier was. Yup. Yabe. Yabe. I lost it. It's over. It's gone. There it is. I found it. Hmm. I've never flown through the sky in a dream. No, I haven't. Most of my dreams are very grounded. But, like, fictional characters appear sometimes. Sometimes I have weird fantasy-based dreams. I remember one time there was a passageway into an Egyptian temple behind a portrait. A big landscape portrait that was there. And there were, like, scorpions, and I think I got stung. I think I got stung. Not pleasant, I know. Not pleasant at all. Oh, is it my turn? Yes, sir. Oh, Hina. Okay. Get him. Get him. Ah. Oh, my chest is sore. Damn. He's back with a golden Hina. One time I played this game off stream because I was bored, and I ran into a guy twice in a row, and I beat him both games, and then I ran into him a third time, and he picked Jupe. He picked Jupe. Why'd he pick Jupe? I don't know. Was that an act of aggression, or was it an act of camaraderie? I don't know. Wakata utau. Each ni san hai. Go music. Now you may be wondering, when I say he picked Jun, I mean he picked my alt. He picked my alt. Is that an act of aggression, or is that an act of camaraderie? How do I take that? Because I had beaten him twice. I had won 2 rounds in him in a row. And the third time I ran into him, he had picked my costume. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but Jun has at least 20 different costumes in this game. So to go out of your way to pick mine, I don't know about that, man. That seems kind of disrespectful. To be fair though, when he won, he did stay on them. Oh my god, another one! They're everywhere. That. Akemashite. Akemashite omedetou. Akemashite? Congratulations. Oh yeah. Their name is Akemashite omedetou. Cool. I guess because it's the new year, they're playing on the new year. Are they ahead? I think they're ahead of me by 12 hours, right? Bashi bashi. Dukana. Ah. Only costumes had more than aesthetics. If only. Yeah, I know there's a 13-hour time difference between me and Japan, but it's currently January 2nd over there. They had their New Year's. Right? Wow. We're moving on to the second day of the year. The second day of the year has absolutely zero significance to anybody. So, don't worry about it. We're only interested in January 1st and December 31st. January 2nd and December 30th are useless, nothing, fuck off days. Alright? They're nothing. They're useless. Hina! We're going on to... Wait, is today Wednesday or Thursday? What's today? Thursday? Fuck, it is Thursday. God damn it. Roll, Hina. I'm back in the cutest girl category. Hina. Hit the tippy. Hit the tippy. I can't do another one. Okay. Gua! Gua! Yatta! Die money. Dashio. I want to live. I want to live! What the fuck? Man, we kind of suck at this, don't we? Wow. Yup. That was gameplay definitely reflective of the hours that we have put into this game. Hey, it happens. You know, sometimes, you know, you're playing a game, you play a lot, and maybe you just like sometimes you try to get too creative for your own good and it just makes you look like a fucking idiot. That happens way too much. Like, I could fire directly and go into the hole, or I can make her do like a backflip. It's like, yeah, but a backflip is really cool. And like, I'm definitely good enough that I know how to make her do a backflip. And then she doesn't do a backflip and you lose. And it's like, well, great, you look like a fucking idiot now. You look like you've never played this game in your life. What are you, smurfing? Are you smurfing on Hina? How could anyone make a play that bad with that many hours into this game? Like, damn, bro. Let me live. Sometimes it's not about winning. It's not about winning. Well, I mean it is, but it's about winning in a way that makes your opponent go like, wow, this guy is like really good at the game. Look at how he understands how his character works. But most people are probably only interested in winning. Motherfucker, I can't play this shit. It's gonna get claimed. Good lord. You gotta convince people you know what you're doing by taking advantage of gimmicks and hoping it works out. That's what it is. Do, 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 do. Man, this is her not good theme. The other theme is so much better. Holy shit, the other theme is so fucking good. Ka-ching. There you go. Won't kill us for Linkin Park. Who makes these rules? Linkin Park was played during an art stream that isn't VODed. Or uploaded. This is Hina. This is getting uploaded. You fool. You fool. You bumbling buffoon. Oh shit. God damn it, Hina. It's like when you get good at a game or something, like sometimes you wanna expand, right? You wanna expand on what you're capable of doing within the game itself. Because when you're just like good at the game and you just pick a safe character, you pick a good character and you run the playbook. You run the bread and butter playbook and you can get wins and yeah, great. But like, chat, have you ever felt like a boring player sometimes? Have you ever played a game and felt like you were decent at it, but when you like really evaluated your play style and your choices and your characters, and you just look at yourself, and then you have a moment where you see yourself as the Buzz Lightyear in the plastic on the shelf with all the other Buzz Lightyears? You ever feel like that? You ever feel like your sense of individualism as a player is basically non-existent? So even though you're good at the game, like, you don't feel like anything. Does that inspire you to like do stupid shit? The way I see it, if I'm not having fun with the way I'm winning, then it's not fun. So winning, some people winning is everything. Winning, the end justifies the means to winning. But like, you know, if you're not having fun while you're winning, then you're not really winning. It's always kind of been my philosophy to it. Pick this character. This character's really strong. This character's really strong. Pick them and you'll do better. Yeah, but the character is strong to the point where whenever I do anything with them, I don't really feel like I've earned it. Like, the only thing I feel like I've earned for such like actions is the ire of my opponent. That's the only thing I feel like I've earned. But for some people, that's just like, they don't care because they won. You know? They won, they don't really care how they got the win. And to be fair, you don't have to care. If you're playing within the rules, the established rule set of the game, and you're winning, even if it's boring, it's not cheating, right? But there's things there's like play styles in particular that I find to be so unbelievably boring that it's like, how can you actually enjoy this? When I look at Pokemon players and I see somebody load up a team with 3 big fat pink motherfuckers, and you just look at that and you're like what is this guy's definition of fun? Because whatever it is, it's definitely not my definition of fun. Like, yeah, I'm gonna stall out 100 turns and watch you bleed, and like, that's 25 minutes of my life gone, but it's also 25 minutes of your life gone. Oh. Not saying everybody has to play like a fucking hothead, but there are some play styles that you look at them and you're like, I just can't imagine playing in this like this is fun, you know? I can't. Fighting games is similar. Characters that have zoning tools, characters that are strong zoners, characters who basically their entire MO as a character is never hold in. Like, you never actively want to be holding the direction your opponent is in, because that would mean closing distance willingly. The entirety of your game plan involves getting as far away from your opponent as possible and throwing shit at them until they get close, and then you get to the other side of the screen and you start throwing shit again. And I don't know, man. I guess I don't really see that as fun. Oh, wow. Nice shot. But my definition of fun is what people would call, like, reckless. Or stupid. Or, like, you're not playing the game correctly. But sometimes I don't want to play the game correctly, because playing the game correctly is really boring. You know, friend slap games? Man. Chat, you want to talk about games that immediately lose their luster as soon as anybody tries to play it seriously? Those games right there. Games like Lethal Company, like Repo. Those games are at their best when nobody really knows what the fuck is going on at all. Those are where those games are at their best. As soon as it turns into a game of like, how do we min-max this? It's like, okay, well, I guess the fun's over now. The fun dies almost instantly. Lethal's not as bad for Repo for it, I don't find. Because Lethal has a lot of stuff that you can't just kill. But Repo is just like, you can kill everything. So, any form of fear disappears when you just have a bunch of guns. It's like, it's not even fun at that point. At that point, you're literally just playing manual labor as a game. And it's like, okay. Like, you go in, you see some enemies, you run, you cower, you work around them. But no, what the game turns into is, alright, let's move this object. Oh, there's an enemy. Alright, he's dead. Alright, let's keep playing the game. And it's just like, that's not very fun. And Repo turned into that very, very quickly. What the fuck happened? Oh, there we go. Repo turned into that almost instantly because you get money kind of right away. Lethal doesn't. Lethal, you have a shovel. You can hit things with a shovel, and you're kind of inclined to fucking, like, eat shit trying more often than not. But there's also enemies you can't do that with. So lethal is better in that department, but there is definitely an aspect of those games where as soon as you start like min-maxing loadouts and optimal gameplay, it loses its fun. It kind of loses its fun. Now, it's not fun to be at the mercy with no ability to fight back, and that's kind of where you have to strike a sweet spot. Like in Lethal, for example, you can use the shovel to kill things like the snare flea. You can kill the thieving bug. You can kill the thumper, and you can kill the spider. And like these are enemies that you can kill the nutcracker too, I suppose. But like the snare flea is not necessarily a super dangerous creature. And the yippy bug you can kind of ignore as well. Just be a little careful. And the spider and thumper less so. The spider you can kind of work around. But the spider, the thumper can kind of get right in your face. But there's also enemies like the bracken, who's essentially unkillable with a shovel. There's like the jester, stuff like that. There is stuff that counteracts it. I think the nutcracker in particular is probably the worst thing in the entire game, because as soon as somebody gets their hands on a shotgun, it just kind of turns into mode. That's what happens. Somebody brings in the gun and just bang. They just shoot another nutcracker in the reload, and they just kind of, and it's like, well, now you have a gun, so there's nothing to be afraid of. I think the bracken is fine. Personally, I think the bracken is fine. His counterplay makes enough sense. He's a little jank in places, but he's funny. And I think that's the main goal of every enemy, is that they should be funny. I don't think the nutcracker is very funny. I think the nutcracker is terrible, terrible design. There we go, okay. I think the nutcracker is pretty terrible design-wise. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is that those games are more fun when people playing don't really have a very good idea of what they're supposed to be doing. They don't have the ability to really min-max encounters. Now, knowing how to play is great. Knowing how to deal with situations is great. But those games really thrive on inexperience. They thrive on inexperience, and also for the experienced players, it's better for when they set up situations that requires some thought that actually does feel pretty rewarding to figure your way out of. But yeah, once they turn into, because those games don't have objectives. Those games don't have objectives, so when you actively, like, the way you play, I think the optimal way to play the friend slot game is you want to play towards the immediate objective enough that you can continue playing, but not to the extent that, like, you know, you're going like 8 mode about it, right? Because obviously you want to play the game as intended, but you're not trying to go for a high score. Like, you know, the people that were doing speed runs, right? People were doing like quota 10 speed runs, or they were doing like high quota score runs, and those looked kind of miserable because they kind of just kept landing. They kind of just kept landing on like dying, and then go to the mansion and grab stuff, go back, go to the mansion, and they just kind of kept doing that. And it's like, it wasn't fun, because anytime anything funny happened, it was just, oh my god, oh my streak, there goes our streak, well, this game's fucking bullshit. Like, the fun got put aside to pursue high scores, and that happened to Repo as well. That kind of happens with all of them, though. Any one of these games that kind of becomes successful, they run into this like content farm mode, where at first it's, I'm gonna play this game with other streamers, hee hee hoo hoo ah whoa screamy, and then it's all right, I'm going for a high score, and that's where all the fun of the game kind of disappears, and then they burn the game, they burn themselves out of the game, and then the game kind of just, you know, Because Lethal was a really, really successful game when it came out. And Lethal was a lot of fun. Lethal was an insanely fun game. It's very silly. A lot of shit didn't really make a lot of sense. Very jank game in a lot of places, but it worked. Its jank worked. It was kind of not player friendly in a lot of places, but it worked. It worked well. You don't get a lot of games like that. But the nature of pretty much any game is that it can usually be pretty fun when everybody's inexperienced. But once dust kind of settles, then you're either left behind or you don't care for where it's gone. Like, I never played those games like Chivalry or For Honor. Those are like competitive PvP 1v1 type games. But I have heard that those types of games tend to follow the same kind of like flow. Like, the game comes out, nobody really knows what's good or what works, so everybody's just on there playing whatever, having fun, swinging, doing stupid shit. But after a certain amount of time, people figure out what is good, what works, what takes the best advantage of the game's mechanics, and then you find you either join the meta or you play against the meta, because there's always people looking to win. I mean, have you ever played Dark Souls PvP? Dark Souls PvP is like that as well. I remember, I actually, this happened on stream. When I was playing Dark Souls 1 on stream, I entered the DLC area, right? I entered the DLC area, and I got invaded by somebody. I don't remember his name. I don't care what his name was either. He showed up, and he was in full Havel set. Full Havel armor, all heavy armored up. And when he showed up and he saw me, I stripped all of my armor off, and then I went over and punched him. And what did he do? He just took a swing at me in his full Havel set. Bro came to play, apparently. But he came in the meta. Bro walked up in the meta. Saw a guy stripped down to his loins. Punch him for 2 damage, and then took a full-ass fucking swing at him. Like, my god, brother. My god, brother. Was beating me really that imperative? Was beating me so imperative that you couldn't even match me in fisticuffs? That's ridiculous. He's not obligated to play the same game you are, streamer. No, he's not. He's not obligated to do shit. But my point is that there are people that they make all of their choices based on what they are told is good and works. And then you gotta wonder if they're really having fun with it. Now, if for them fun is winning, and fun begins and stops at winning only, then sure, okay, there you go. Figured out how to have fun. You win. Great. Congratulations. But for me, that doesn't really seem very fun, because I don't really feel like I'm doing anything myself. Where's the fun in that? You gotta play optimally. Okay, but what if I like the big, long, stupid sword? Wow. What if my favorite weapon is the worst weapon in the game? God damn it! Come on, Hina. Chat, have you ever seen a game? Thank you for the first time sub, Mystic Trope. Chat, have you ever seen a game where a meta became populated with something that felt really like counter to what you feel like the game's original design was? Now, Dead by Daylight is probably an example that somebody could give, but I'm not familiar enough with Dead by Daylight to really get that. But like I guess imagine a situation in a game where the point of the game is to beat the shit out of each other with swords, and the meta for the game turns into beating each other to death with shields. And by beating each other to death, I mean that you basically just always keep a shield, and you just try to shield bash people, because that's more effective than hitting them with a sword, because you're attacking them with something that defends you, and you're still doing damage. So instead of it being a sword fight, you're having a little fucking wiener fight with shitty little shields. And it's like, that's not really what we wanted when we made this game. That sort of deal. Go, Hina, go! Go, Hina, go! She's gone. How could a game ever end up like that? Well, balancing competitive games is kind of weird, because whose opinion do you listen to when you balance the game, right? When you make balance changes to a game, do you listen to the people who are in like the top 10% of players in the world? Do you listen to the people who only play once every like 3 weeks with some buddies? Do you listen to the people who play like twice a week maybe? Who do you listen to when it comes to balance changes? I actually don't know the answer to this. Who has the most say? Do you cater to the hardcore side? Do you cater to the hardcore side and alienate new players? Do you cater to the casual plays and alienate the ones who take it seriously? I don't know. I don't have the answer, because we've seen this on a couple different things for sure. Basically, every Nintendo game that has a competitive scene it tends to lean towards the casuals, right? Like Smash Brothers is a good example. Smash Brothers has made efforts to make things seemingly a little more like centric for competitive players, but casuals are still the blood and soul of the game for sure. So especially early on Smash Brothers, there was a lot of aspects that were designed with casuals in mind, and competitive just had to work around it. That's why there's a lot of bullshit in those games, because, well, they're fun bullshit like that. But for a game like Street Fighter, where people are playing this game for a lot of money, you'd want this game to cater more to the competitive base, because that would make the game better as a competitive sport. But Street Fighter's also in a weird position, because Street Fighter games have kind of become easier over time, which isn't inherently a bad thing, because that's how you grow the player base. But when the game becomes too casual orientated, it means that skill starts taking a back seat. And that's the kind of thing that can happen, is that how much skill are you willing to remove from the equation of a head-to-head matchup before it becomes like stupid. Before it becomes stupid. That didn't work. What could have been? What about Concord? What could have been? Who knows? Hop on Concord, boys. Let's play some Concord. Street Fighter 4 I found was a very fun game to watch. That game was very difficult. It had a lot of very tight combos. So that when people played that game and were good at it, and you knew that the combos were hard, it was like, whoa, this is really impressive. But then you hear things about Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 6, and it's like, there's still games that require skill. But, like, sometimes people say shit like, this game is just drive rush. This game is, like, Street Fighter 6 is throw loops. This game is you push somebody into the corner and then you do throw loops, because I guess it's really easy to pull that off. I don't really know the exacts, but Tekken had its whole Tekken had a whole issue with that too. Tekken had a whole set of issues with casual orientated aspects to them. But again, casuals are kind of important. Casuals are important. They're the lifeblood of the game, and they're also the lifeblood of the prize pool. Well, maybe not so much for oops. They're not so much the lifeblood of company-funded prize pools. But for something like Smash, which has no official backing from the company, the people who show up and go 0-2, they're very important. But the thing, like I said, though, Smash doesn't give a shit about that. Smash just does what it wants. But for Street Fighter, if you want it to be a worthy investment for putting that much money on the line, then you need to make sure people actually want to play the game. So you need to make the game accessible, right? And I think that's kind of why we've had these modernized controls, is because they're helpful. They're helpful training wheels for people to get into the game, as opposed to just booting up Street Fighter 6 and being like, the only people who are actively going to be playing this game are like in their late 30s and they were playing Street Fighter 2 in the arcades, right? But you can't just keep making the series continue, catering to these people who have been with the series since its initial release. You can't do that. So you have to figure out how to get a new player base to take the bite, but you also have to be careful that you don't do something to completely and utterly alienate your core fan base. Because if you do that, then now you're chasing a rabbit, but you drop the other rabbit, right? You have a rabbit, there's another rabbit in the bush, but instead of figuring out how you can lure that rabbit with the rabbit you already got, you're just tossing that rabbit aside to try to get the other one, because the other one looks like it's better. Better in what way? I don't know. But better nonetheless. Very weak character is fine. Overpowered one disrupts the entire game. Well, that's kind of the problem, is when they make characters beginner friendly, they have aspects to them that are very stupid. Not to mention DLC characters are pretty much designed to be really strong because they need to make the money off them, right? Nobody is going to spend $7 on a character that is ass cheeks. They will, however, spend $7 on a character that is undisputably one of the best characters in the game, because A, they have really good options, and B, they're new, so nobody really knows how to fight them properly yet. So they can get a lot of free money from those characters. You wouldn't pay for a bad character. You wouldn't. That's bad business. But the problem with that is that DLC characters are more of a business than anything, right? They require time and effort and testing, and then they get added to the game, but they weren't free. That shit costs money. That shit costs resources. So you gotta sell them. They better be good, because no one's gonna want to buy them. And unfortunately, the way that works is that it creates this situation where DLC characters are almost always going to be meta-relevant threats to a extremely large degree. Until the new DLC character comes out, and they can finally put a patch to make them more reasonable. There are bad DLC characters. There are mediocre DLC characters. I think Dragon Ball Z Fighters is probably the most egregious example of DLC fighters coming out, dominating the meta, until the new DLC characters come out and a patch happens that adjusts them to make them not as bad. One of my favorite examples of that was Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. The ball grabber, he was called. They called him the ball grabber because if you didn't know, DBZ Fighters has a Dragon Ball mechanic where you can build Dragon Balls and make a witch. And SS4 Gogeta, I think his auto combo, for whatever reason, his auto combo was one of the things that could generate balls. So he was a ball generator. And then he would be able to make a wish on Shenron in a match, and it was like an actual thing that he could pull off. So they call him the ball grabber. Did all auto combos do that? There was something about SS4 Gogeta that made his better, though. I don't remember what it was. But there was something specific about him that made it really easy for him to accumulate Dragon Balls and actually realistically pull a Shenron summon out in a match. I just don't remember what that detail was. But he was the ball grabber. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure what the Dragon Ball... The Dragon Ball gave you one of 3 options. I think it either gave you, like, your X Factor back. It would allow you to revive a team member. And I think one of them maybe gave you full super meter. I don't remember what the Dragon Balls could do. But they're all very powerful options. But, like, they were held back by the fact that getting a Shenron summon was ridiculous. But Gogeta was actually capable of doing it consistently. But yeah, most of the characters in that game when they came out had really good options. Boom. They had good options, and then some of them got nerfed, and others actually got buffed down the line to make them better, which I think is nice. Like, Jiren was a character who wasn't very good, and he got buffed down the line. But for the most part, I think a lot of characters in DBZ Fighters ended up starting strong and getting smacked down. She just straight up had a move that gave him a Dragon Ball. Is that what it was? That he just had a move that he could use that gave him a free Dragon Ball? SS4 Gogeta auto combo is stupid. It's safe on reflex, safe on vanishes, has huge range, can work as a 2H. Like, what the fuck? Even UI Goku Tech gets fucked by that auto combo kick. Also has insane auto aim detection. Not to mention he can one-shot players by just taunting. But that's not the biggest problem with him. It's just he gets past so many defensive options by using auto combos is insane. So he just had a really good auto combo. I seem to recall that Goku Blue's auto combo gave him a high-low mix-up. Like, his auto combo had a high in it, so you could stop the auto combo before the high and then go for a low, which is kind of wacky. That an auto combo would have a high-low mix-up. That game's pretty old at this point. It's pretty old at this point. There's some technical terminology I don't fully understand, but there's pretty like open stuff. Auto combos are silly. I like Akihiko's auto combo in Persona 4, which was he punches you 6 times, but he dashes to your other side all those times. He goes 2, 2, 2, 2, and it's really fucking slow. So in Ultimax they sped it up immensely, so he just goes like. But in the original game, when he auto combos you, it's like getting light jabbed 4 times. But like the time between each light jab is like the time of 2 other light jabs, and it's just like, bro, get the fucking combo over with already. So they sped it up in Ultimax. Palunair did that too in Ultimate. Palunair was a really slow move, and it was basically an auto combo. You get hit by so many of them in a row. So one of the patches actually sped the animation up immensely, so you didn't have to sit there and fucking watch it forever. Thank God they did that. Thank God they did that. There's a gathering over here. Alice, you're too tall. I can't get her through. She's too tall. Oh, now she's gone. Oh. Oh, Hina. Now, bear in mind, fighting game players like to complain regardless. There's no such thing as a fighting game that has a player base that just goes, yeah, everything about this game is perfect, well-balanced, and very good, and I've never had an issue with it ever. That's never happened in the history of ever. As far as the world is concerned, every single fighting game character is undertuned and not very good, while simultaneously being the biggest piece of shit motherfucker character in the entire series, and only absolute fucking, like, terrible, awful, brain-dead human beings would ever even humor the idea of picking this character, because they are so unbelievably skillless in execution that you'd have to be very special in the head to even think that any win you've gotten with that character is even remotely earned. That sounded personal, streamer. It wasn't, but you see some of the shit these fighting game players be playing, dude? You see the kind of shit they be playing. There's no universally accepted character as being fine. Every character has some bullshit that is like too bullshit for them, and they hate it. They hate it so much they can't stand it. It's really funny, dude. But like I said, oh, this is that Momiji theme, isn't it? Yeah, it is. This is the Momiji theme when she does Rabies Bite. Oh, well, we have a weird situation here, don't we, Hina? Welp. Alright. Hey, FGC players, man, they create some crazy copy passes when they are maulding, bro. When they are absolutely fucking maulding over over a character, they be creating, you know the theory that if you give with an infinite amount of time, if you give a monkey a typewriter, they will eventually produce Shakespeare. That right there, that is an accurate description of fighting game players' eloquence when it comes to complaining about characters. That was a terrible shot. Unbelievable. Hoi hoi hoi. That shit's funny though. Oh, I just played this match against this guy on Xbox Live. Oh, you just got a message. Wow, let me check it. From opponent. Subject. Slur. Oh. Okay, let's read the body of the message. That's just the same slur repeated 15 times. Alright, sounds good. Sounds good to me, bro. And you know that shit still happens, right? You know that people will go on Twitter? People will go on Twitter. They will find the people they're playing with online, find their Twitter, and then DM them, and then shit talk them on Twitter. People get fucking the vitriol, man. People get so angry when they play online. They pull out full on fucking manhunts. So they can talk their ish. Like, bro, you came and found my Twitter. You came and found my Twitter. You lost 5 times in a row. Came and found my Twitter to call me a bad player, brother. Yeah, you could send audio messages on Xbox. That shit insane. Some people thrive. Made a collage out of all the messages I received in Rocket League 1v1 ranked. How many slurs? How many? How many? I need to know. I need to know. The image was 4K. Okay, but that doesn't answer my question. A lot. Bro made a fucking bulletin board. Cotton 4K. It's so easy. Give in to your hatred. Give in to your hatred. This guy beat me in a video game. That's it. That's it. I'm getting so angry. I'm gonna bust a nut. Bop. I feel like if it reaches a point where you're playing a game and you really start to consider sending a message to your opponent telling them that they are garbage, you probably need to take a break or like stop playing entirely. Like you might need to stop for a little bit. The game would tell you if someone got banned because of your report. There wasn't a single day without that message. What were you, cheating? Were you a cheater? Is that what it was? Bye, Hina. Some people get really angry and they're not really taught properly how to like deal with it. When I was a kid, Chad, I broke a controller, and after I broke a controller, I didn't break a controller ever again. I mean, I did, but I didn't like smash it to shit. I know why I did it. It was Blue Sphere. It was fucking Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Blue Sphere. I got so mad. I beat the shit out of my controller. And then it broke. And then I was down one controller. And when I broke my controller, I was like... I had that moment that all children do. Where you're like, what? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? So... yeah. After breaking my controller... I never broke another controller after that. But sometimes you learn the hard way. But I think some people, they don't learn. Like some people would break their controller and then they would never learn from it, and then they would just break another controller. There would be no lesson, you know? There would be no reflection. Just more anger. Just more anger. And then these people go on to play games like League of Legends. Why? Because they tell you they love competitive video games. Competitive video games are great. And then you look at them play, and you see how they act when they lose in them, and it's like... Alright, bro. The truth is, the only reason you're playing online ranked with strangers is because you definitely don't have any friends to play it with locally. Not with that attitude. No siree. Growing up is learning how to manage your anger. Everybody gets angry over something, but you need to understand how to deal with it professionally and not like embarrassingly. That's all. Especially in a public place. Oh, goodbye. He's Sammy. Sonic Free Riders. Yeah, you should have broke your Kinect if that was the only Sonic one you got. If that was the only one you got. I like the other Sonic Riders games. Not that one, though. Isn't it kind of neat, though, how, like, when people say the words League of Legends, for example, like, League is an easy target here, of course, but people will say, like, League of Legends, and the people will talk about how this game is, like, this game's terrible, this game's evil, this game's hatred incarnate, this game turns you into a terrible person. The only people who play this game are some of the most miserable, toxic people in the world. And you look at the active player numbers and you're like, how about that? That's a lot of active players. So how does a game with a reputation that poor still maintain such a positive, like, it still maintains a positive, like, amount of player base? Dead by Daylight's similar. I feel like the only content you see on Dead by Daylight on the internet is people complaining about how the game is shit. but like that game is still going strong. But these games have so many like seemingly active detractors, but they're still very successful and popular games. But they have reputations of being some of the worst experiences that you could possibly have in an online gaming environment. The hell is up with that? Isn't that weird? Okay, well, the players are all evil people. Yeah, but like, you're playing it, right? Like, you're actively playing it. And it's like, man, everybody here is awful. It's like, but if you're playing it and everybody's awful, what does that mean about you? Does that mean you're awful? Or are you the special exception to the rule? Hmm? They're evil even if they don't know it. It's like Principal Skinner moment. No, it's the children who are wrong. Yes. Yes, of course. Yes. Am I out of touch? No. No. Come on, a couple more and I'm getting out of here. I gotta get that bonky. Oh. It's like that episode of SpongeBob where he's chasing the maniac. Oh, well, okay. The queue took longer than the match. Wait a second, Patrick. I'm the maniac! What do you do when you wake up, you log on, you play 8 hours of a game that makes you feel miserable, talk about how miserable it is, and then you do it again? Well, here's how you do it, streamer. You accumulate a massive Twitch following for playing this game. So that way you play it and you make money to play it. Then what? Nothing. You continue to play League and be miserable, but you're making miserable on company time, baby! Holla holla get dollar! Me dollar, Mr. Squidward, me dollar. Arby's! MOBA players partake in an evil ecosystem where to have fun you need to rob someone else, the opponent, of their fun. Well, in a 1v1 match, there is always going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. But it's dependent on how badly is the guy who's losing actually, like, losing, right? Like, when you're playing at a fighting game and you're like, you know, you go to last hit round 3, it's like, ah, damn, I almost had that. You know, you can, like, you wish you won that because it was a tight battle, but you acknowledge that it was fun because it was a good match. But then if you just get fucking 3-0'd in a handshake, perfected and all that, and you're like, man, this game fucking sucks. But, like, sometimes you just get your ass handed to you. Sometimes you just make all the wrong choices. Bye, Hina. Sometimes you make all the wrong choices and you get blown up for it. Like, even the best players in the world can still lose rounds to perfects. So, it just happens. No one's a perfect player after all. But there are, like, there's different types of play styles. Like, to use the fighting game analogy again, if you're actively playing characters who have to approach and you really feel like you're fighting, then that's great. If you play against a character whose entire MO is being on the other side of the screen and not fighting you, like think Injustice Batman. Think Injustice Batman on the Gotham Alley stage. If you played against somebody who picked Batman on that stage and you lost to Batarang anti-air and dumpster throwing, well, you would probably think not very nice things about your opponent. That's for sure. Like, you're in that situation, you're pretty much guaranteed to lose, and that's not fun. But like winning against that, I don't think winning against that would really be considered fun either. Winning against that, it just feels like it's comeuppance, where you just be like, yeah, fuck you, asshole. Like, you wouldn't even really feel good about it. You just kind of feel like you want to spit on your opponent, tell them to go fuck themselves. Time to fly, Hina. That you flew a little too much. Alright. Imagine a league, the opponents had a dumpster the whole match because you lost one early game fight, unlike an Injustice where it's stage positioning thing. Well, I mean, in Injustice, you kind of, the dumpster kind of stays on, isn't it usually on player one side anyway? Like, whatever. It is also not very fun to play a game that you know you're going to lose and you still have a lot of time left to play it. That sucks as well. If you're in a match and you know that it's basically impossible to win the match from where you are, but the match is not officially over for a while, you kind of like don't want to be there anymore. You'd rather just be out of there, right? Alright, chat. 3 more matches and we're going to the shop. 3 more. So, like, if you're losing and you can lose fast enough to move on to the next game, that's one thing. But being in a situation where you're losing for an entire stretch of game and there's no, like, saving it, but the game is not going to end even remotely soon, you have to wonder what goes on in your mind in that situation, right? Because realistically, you just want to quit out. Because I don't want to fucking sit there. Like, I know I've lost. But in situations like this, like, there should be a forfeit button. There should be a forfeit button, I think. That's why, like, if it's an option between having to stay in the entire match knowing you're going to lose, or quitting and taking a hit to your like cred, there should just be a button that lets you forfeit. Because that will just that'll end the match. Like, Pokemon Showdown has a forfeit button. That you click the button, you forfeit, it ends the match, and that's it. Not everybody uses it. Some people will they'll just close the window if they're losing. They just close the window and then they lose by timeout. And I don't know why they do that. I really don't know why they do that, because like the other, like, especially for like the people you watch play Showdown on like YouTube or Twitch, if a battle starts taking like a long time, they just go and queue up another battle and they play another battle and they just kind of check in every now and again. So like you could just hit the forfeit button and be done with it, but instead they just lose by inactivity because I don't really know why. I guess they just get really angry. They get really upset and then they just close the entire computer. Who knows? I don't know what we're trying here, buddy, but we might need to work a little harder. Alright, last match. Then we're going to the boxy. Rage quitting you can usually tell. I guess not for Showdown, but for rage quitting on online, you can usually tell because there's an attempt at a reconnection. And then you find that your opponent is either just straight up disconnected, or like the game resumes and the player's gone, and you can tell the player's gone. Alrighty. Alright, boys, to the shop. Let's open a legendary box. Ready? Bang. Night dress. Dangerous girl. Reimu-kun. Final boss. Komano on! That's a boy. That's on! Okay. Night dress. I have these. Alright. Do I have enough pieces for that? I actually don't. Check full. That's her. Use 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3. On completed. Okay. Alright, alright. Wait. Emote shop. 12 keys for Doremi. 4 keys for Screaming. Why does she take 12 fucking keys, bro? The economy in this game is insane. This shit's insane, bro. This shit is insane. Who's buying this for 12 fucking keys? I got 47. Yeah, and I need them. 2 hours and I grew 1 level. I am only 1 level gained. A level 70 jupe. Not bad, if I do say so myself. Well, chat, there you go. New year, new Hina. But, you know, when we get a new update, there will be even more Hina. How about that? But for now, Hina is over. Goodbye, Hina. I'll see you next time. When will that be? Might be soon. You never know. Keep your eyes peeled.